Cissy Strut is a classic funk tune by the New Orleans band The Meters. It was on their first record from 1969, self-titled, and it's become sort of a funk jam session staple. Almost everyone has heard this tune, whether they know the original or not. For whatever reason, there are a few parts of this simple tune that almost everyone plays wrong in a, kind of jam session context. These mistakes are so common, they've almost become like part of the tune in a weird way. So Cissy Strut's pretty straightforward in terms of the form. It's just an A and a B section. So here's the guitar, bass, and drum part for the A section. Now the drum part is actually very specific. It's very much not a generic like funk pocket groove in any way. So check out the music I've attached to see the transcription of the pattern. But here's just the drum groove by itself. It stays pretty close to being like an unchanged static pattern throughout the tune, of the A section, I mean. But there are a few little variations that the drummer, the great Joseph Zigaboo Modaliste, will include sometimes. You'll often hear people play Cissy Strut and phrase the 16th notes as swung sixteenths. Now, I'm not saying there isn't some inherent looseness and flexibility with how the meters are playing 16th notes, maybe, but it's definitely not a swung 16th notes feel on the recording. If we have to classify it one way or the other, it's clearly straight 16ths. So back to the drum pattern, super slick. Check out these sort of overlapping and interlocking hi-hat and bass drum parts especially. It's really not what you might expect upon like a casual listen only. Here's the A section groove on the drums, but slowed down a bit. Super cool, right? Okay, so the B section, this is where there's a little bit more flexibility in terms of the actual drum part. The drums basically sort of solo or improvise through those gaps in the melody, making sure to include the two semi-open hi-hat hits on beat 4 and the and of 4 every time. So here's the B section. Now, I know with a tune like this, it's pretty open and there's no need to play it exactly like the original, of course. It's just that when I've heard people play this tune, there's certain mistakes that are so predictable, especially in the melody, that I think it's maybe more of a function of not having heard the original tune or listened closely to it than it is a musical choice. Plus, the drum groove is so unique and cool that it's really worth checking out how he plays it instead of maybe reverting to something a little more non-specific. None of the meters tunes, in fact, have a very generic groove. All of them are really distinct and specific to the tunes. I plan on doing some more lessons on meters, drum grooves, because I think they're so cool, and I hope folks are into that. All right, if you are interested in a brief explanation of the guitar and bass parts and how to play them like the original, keep watching. It's a bit hilarious how many versions you can find online of great musicians playing this tune, and they are playing the very simple melody wrong. Almost every single version has the A section melody as being completely within the C minor pentatonic scale, which would be this. Right? So the wrong version of the melody sounds like this, including the note B flat right here. But it's not a B flat, it's an A. Like this. So that's one. And that should be reflected on both the guitar and bass parts because they play that section of the melody in unison. However, after that, when the guitar plays two chords, right? A B flat chord followed by an F chord. The bass does not play those chords in unison, or the roots of those chords in unison with the guitar. The bass plays a G, which is the 5 in the key of C. Sounds like this. A lot of times when you hear people play the tune, they just have the bass line be completely in unison with the guitar, playing those chords with the guitar. So if you were going to make a chart for this tune, you might more accurately label those chords as B flat over G and F over G. Anyway, what I mean by all this is not so much that this tune or others like it need to always be played like the original, of course. But I really love checking out and understanding the ins and outs of original versions of tunes. It helps me to understand and get inside the nuts and bolts of how or why they sound so good. One lesson I can take from this tune, and from other great funk grooves too, is that there's a lot less unison playing between instruments than you might think. The rhythms of the melody, the drum, the guitar and bass, and of the drum groove sort of fill in the gaps for each other rhythmically in certain places, right? And there's also that bit of harmonic tension with those chords over G, the 5 chord. It's just those little bits of rub in between the parts that make something simple like this so enduring and so funky, in my opinion. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. And as always, check out the original tune.